I remember being so anxious and so depressed, I couldn't nap. I don't know what it was. I was like, why am I napping? Like, shouldn't I be working through this? I'm like, no. And I remember napping was the only place I'd find peace. And then it was digging into that stuff, the stuff where I didn't want to go, and was like, no, I ain't got a problem. Everyone drinks, everyone takes drugs. It's just society and hiding behind that. But it's when you want to be honest with yourself and be like, no, I've had enough of this. You have to reach the roots of hell to reach the heights of heaven.
Just talk it, walk it.
Brother, I'll tell you what, right now, when you were talking about earlier the headphones, right, and speaking, I find, right, that when you have the headphones on, you're like, as if you're in line or in tune with your own thoughts a bit more, because it's sound like you can't hear anything outside.
Yeah.
So when you speak, it's just literally like it hits you and you can...
Yeah, it filters everything out, mate. It feels peaceful in it, doesn't it? It feels like we're in a little bubble.
Yeah, it's
no one will know what we're on about either. They'll think, what are these two on?
Brother, it's thank you so much for coming on. Dan Sarginson, bro. How you been?
Good, man. Good. Just been chilling. Just been having a bit of time to myself, and yoga and gardening's been a game changer. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop, like, man. Love it. I love it. There's something so mad. Do you know, like we're talking about this, like the podcast and what it does for you, and it's your hobby. It's like we bought this house and the garden sold it to me and Kate, and I've just been out there like every day, 3 or 4 hours. I'm setting alarms to bring myself away from it.
No way.
Because I'm out there and I'm doing it barefoot, so I'm just on the grass and I'm earthing and like, I don't know, I go into some weird kind of spaces which is just beautiful, and I have these epiphanies and realizations and stuff, and it's just so peaceful, man. It's real cool.
Wow. Have you always kind of been connected to doing like landscaping or gardening, or just more the last couple of years?
I don't know. At my last house in Wigan, I would always nurture my grass. Like I loved my grass and got so mad with it. So the fine details, and Dozer would like wee in an area and I'd hose it down. I'd be like, Dozer, what are you doing? I taught him to wee on the stones eventually, but like hose it down, trying to dilute it, and it'd come up yellow. So I'd dig that little section up, put seed down, put fresh soil. And like Stu Howarth used to live next door to me, he used to pop his head over and be like, you've gone mad. And I'm like, no, I love it. And then in lockdown, we did like a workout. Do you know, they're sending the workouts home. So I did a workout and invited Chris Hankinson and Lucy, his girlfriend, and Stu, and we all come out and done a session on the grass, burpees and that.
Yeah.
Smash my grass up. one of the worst days of my life. One of the worst days of my life.
It's like, talk about hardships, when they touched my grass.
Oh, man. And you know, halfway through, sweating, knackered, I was like, can everyone move along a metre? Get on a new patch.
That's class,
man.
mate.
I know, man. Just...
I don't know if the grass is over here. Have you heard of Sir Walter? Is it Sir Walter grass or something like that? It's different types of grass and different types of...
Oh, really?
Yeah, saying that though.
What, from Oz you mean?
When I was in Australia, everyone used to be like, oh, you've got Sir Walter or something like that. It was called like the different type of grass. It's like the top quality. I think it's called that. And then you had different types. But I suppose over you, like the grass is always really green. Like there's never a shortage of rain with the sun, you know. So
it's good balance, isn't it?
Yeah, good balance. Nice weather at the moment.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You're looking brown.
I know, well, that's just been in the garden. I'm just sunburnt. My back, I'd love to get... I'll get my back out on this podcast. My back is ridiculous just from gardening, man. But yeah, no, like I said, man, it's cool out there. It's so therapeutic.
Yeah.
It makes me think like there should be an avenue for doing therapy in a garden. Do you know, like, well, even digging up roots and stuff, it's just like... I don't know, you start thinking, attaching it to life, and you're like, wow, these are like little issues in my life, and they all feed into one big thing, which is like, I don't know, could be fear. It's all fear, and then it branches out into all these little areas, and you follow these root backs, and you get it up at the root, and it's like, bang, gone, nothing's coming back here.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know, because I'm with myself for so long, I start coming up with all these little analogies and how it's like relates to life, and I'm like, whoa, I've lost the plot.
I think you've just had I think it's some form of awakening, you know, that some people may think he's lost the plot, but he definitely haven't. I think you've just come to this moment of realization. We've had many talks on this, and you know, I think from when I listen to you talk, it's like I think when you're playing sports, you talk about a lot where for every win you played, or for every cap you had, or for every, you know, challenge that you've conquered, you thought that this buzz of excitement, this win, this happiness would, like, that's the happiness. And now you've kind of come to this other stage now where you're like, the penny drop moment where you're like, this awakening has come to learning more about yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I don't know. Things only make sense to me looking back. So at the time, I was drinking till I blacked out. I always had this thing where I had to be the most drunk in the room. Like I'd turn up and people had been pre-drinking for like an hour. I'm talking when I was young.
Yeah.
People had been pre-drinking. I'd get there and I'd have this feeling in my stomach like, wow, I'm not the most pissed. What's going on? Give me that bottle of vodka. And it was like, I don't know what it was. So I had that and then obviously like with the drugs and that, and I was like, and it never clicked to me. But then looking back, I'm like, why was I doing that? Like, I wasn't conscious of why I was doing that. It wasn't my intention, but I must have been covering something up. Like, do you know what I mean? Drinking to the point where I can't feel anything, and taking drugs to the point where I can't feel anything. And I'm like, wow, what was I hiding? What was I? And then it was digging into that stuff, the stuff where I didn't want to go, and was like, no, I ain't got a problem. Everyone drinks, everyone takes drugs. It's just society and hiding behind that. But it's when you want to be honest with yourself and be like, no, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of doing this to myself. Like, this is what everyone's doing, and I honour the fact that they're doing that. And maybe one day they'll pull back and realise and ask themselves the questions that might reveal some tough answers. But I just couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't do it anymore, man.
It's crazy that I don't think people are ready to answer those questions because they know they're not ready to open up a can of worms or open up a part of them that they probably, their ego's covered for so long, you know. But I actually got told by someone where you are basically one of the most competitive people you'll ever come across. So maybe that is something, you know, so when you're in a room full of everyone's drunk, I'm going to be the drunkest. Whenever we're doing the bleep test, I'm going to be the fittest.
See, I've gone into that as well. Like, I'm trying not to leave any stone unturned in my life and not trying to understand it. So, but it just starts to make sense to me. The deeper I go within myself and understand myself and ask these questions I don't want to ask myself and sit with it, meditate with it, do whatever in peace and stillness, away from my mind. My mind will make all these excuses. Oh, you're competitive because it's just how you were brought up. Well, no, it don't make no sense. Like, it's not how I was brought up. It was, the deeper I've gone in it with the competitiveness, it was validation. It was, I never felt good enough. So I knew if I was competitive, all my teammates would love playing with me because they'd be like, Sarge will take, like, we're pinned in our 5 metre. We're talking rugby. We'll dip in and out of rugby. But I don't want to talk too much.
I get you, brother.
But we're pinned in our 5 metre. Not many people want to take that carry. There's 6 people closing in on you, man. And it's like, I would always, not that I wanted to get hurt. Everyone's like, do you like pain? I'm like, no. But I would do that for everyone else. And it was always like, because I knew people would respect me more, and I wanted to earn that respect and that validation from outside because I didn't have it within. So I'd like to think maybe the more I worked on myself, I went back to rugby next year and carried on working myself, found that love for myself and that validation from myself where I never need it from the outside. Maybe I'd hold back on a few of them carries and go, hang on a minute, let's share the workload a bit because I'm getting battered here. But yeah, looking back, man, that's all that was. And fear of failure.
A fear of failure. I think a lot of people. I believe I'm like that to a certain extent. The more I dig in myself, you know, dick.
It's censored. Censor that bit out.
But the more I dig, the more I ask myself, what is it? Like, do you not want to? Like, I ask myself, what motivates me? And it's like, well, for me, it's like I like to leave no stone unturned, and I feel like we talk about this thing potential, but I don't want to know where the end of that potential is, but I just know I want to keep pushing myself to a limit of where, you know, where I know I'm satisfied because I'm happy in what I'm doing. But I like, for instance, this podcast now, I've got the opportunity to talk with you, learn, have a really good conversation now. I'm not going to go, okay, I'm done now. I'm done on podcasting. It's like, well, keep going.
But then where does it go? Is there an end goal with the podcast?
Nah, I think I just love conversation. I love having connecting with people. Like I like having sports conversation, I like having life conversations, but I just love knowing what motivates and what makes people tick. And I always say to myself, after I had those really bad injuries, I always say to myself, I'm I'm not defined by these anymore, because I want to be able to go, you know, if this ended tomorrow, yeah, you're going to feel a little bit of disheartened there or upset, but that's not me. Like, the podcast is not Ollie Oles.
Yeah.
I'm Ollie Oles. Well, if you think about it even deeper, I got given this name.
Yeah, I know, man.
You got given
into all that stuff, I know.
Next thing, you're in a little rabbit hole of just going, but
where you're nothing. You're like,
yeah.
I'm just a product of what I've been told I am, and I'm just a product of my past experiences, which don't actually exist anymore. And I'm holding on to the memory of it. And it's like, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Get away.
It's like you've just opened another door. And
yeah. Give me a packet of crisps. Give me a can of Coke, quick. Need some sugar. Yeah, man. But that's interesting, because that to me is the most sustainable way to do something like this. You're following a passion, and your intention. It's your intention behind everything. It's like, why are you doing something? And if it was to become the best podcaster in the world, if you don't become that, that's where the fear of failure comes in. But if you constantly work on yourself and improve your podcast week on week, the byproduct will be, could be, you're the best podcaster in the world. And if that happens, you're fully grateful for that. But if you're setting that as, it's like, it feeds back into what we're on about. I was success driven my whole life. And I don't want to say everyone, but let's create a stat. 85-90% of people in a capitalist society, it's like, you have to succeed, you have to make money to be happy. That's how we're indoctrined. We're taught that. We're taught that from a young age without knowing, and our parents have been taught it, so that they might feed it down to us, and it's coming in from TV, and it's coming in from celebrities. Like, we all look up to celebrities, man. And it's like, I don't know. I'll take a wild stab at saying a lot of them ain't happy. Nah,
100%. You know how I like out all of them I listen to is that Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
because he's a bit like, fuck this, and like, because...
Oh, can we swear on it?
Yeah, of course you can, man. Yeah, but it's Ali G over there.
Yes, man. I've been holding back.
Nah, be authentic.
I'll be going to town now. Right, if you got any 16-year-olds or below, turn it off now. You've had your lot. Get to bed.
No, but it's...
Sorry, bro.
No, brother. I appreciate it. It's
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's great, mate. He's great. But yeah, you're bang on there. But like, the conversations we've had, man, and the people I've connected with, similar to yourself, mate. It's like this like moment of just going like, why am I doing this? You know, the why behind it. You know, so you've done rugby for so long, and you've come to the stage now where you've put it on pause, and I think it's great. Like, and I kind of said this to someone the other day. Like, some people may think, you know, Dan's this is a mental health thing, but it's not. You're just chosen your path, and the only certain people will understand that.
Yeah,
but is he mad? People work their whole life to get these opportunities, but hey, that's not your life. That's not his. You know.
Some people would even like. I can imagine people probably say, but there's kids out there that would die to be a rugby player and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. And there was a point where I would die to be a rugby player, but other things make sense to me now. And it was probably one of the hardest things I ever did, you know, walking away from, I was in the UK, I was on the best money I'd been on my whole career. Like, the thing with rugby, you earn your stripes, don't you? And you earn your respect and you earn your thingy. And when I was a kid, I would like, go make the water bottles, go make the shakers, go do this, and all the old lads, and I'd respect them, and that's the way it was. And then I always thought, wow, and like you could pull out injured. Do you remember when you was young and you used to pull out injured, and the young lads would be like, no, you're training. I'd be like, right, okay, no, I'll train. Hamstring gone. Yeah, you shouldn't have trained. It's like, well, hang on a minute, I weren't going to train, but you said I'm young and I shouldn't get injured. So it was like that. And I always thought, when I'm older, I'm going to be on more money. I'm going to be that guy who has a bit more authority. I can pull out a train if I'm injured. I don't have to explain myself to anyone. And then got there and was like, this ain't like, because my mindset had changed by that point. And I was like, wow, I'm still not getting what I thought I'd get out of this. I thought I'd be chilled and blah, blah, blah. But I still had all the underlying problems of worrying too much, the anxiety, fear of failure. Mate, I used to worry 7 days a week. Have you ever listened to Johnny Wilson podcast?
I haven't, mate, but literally I had a guy talk to me yesterday about...
Get on it, man. Yeah. Well, when I first listened to it, everyone was like, "Oh, he's gone a bit mad. He's gone a bit mad." But something was just, when someone's just talking to your soul.
You're like, I get you.
Yeah, I was like, hang on a minute. I was like, you make a lot of sense to me, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is. And he was like, between the whistles, so outside of the whistles, not during the game. He was like, I'd be out for a meal, worrying about the game on the weekend, blah blah blah. Honestly, the only relief I got was about an hour after the game. If I'd had a good game, I'd sit there for an hour and I'd be like, oh, and it was just relief. It was like, wow, I didn't miss a tackle. I didn't let people down. I didn't, do you know what I mean? I played all right. I didn't cost us the game. And then it would all kick in, right, who am I playing next week? I remember if I was up against like Callum Watkins in his prime, oh my days, man. I would not be sleeping. I'd be like, what if he skips on the outside of me? The game's on telly. Oh my God, I'll look like it. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, wow, I was just attaching to every negative outcome and just playing it over and over and over in my head and getting myself in that stress response. Do you know where you're like sweating a bit and you're anxious? And I'm like, whoa. And that's where the alcohol and the drugs probably came in, because I'd spent the whole week worrying. So I'm like, give me a relief from this stuff. Give me some sort of peace for a bit, because I can't take this any longer. I'm driving myself insane. So it was becoming aware of all these sort of things, which I think to myself, I'm like, maybe I should put the boots back on with this mentality. And do you know what I mean? But it's gone now, man. And I've extracted the wisdom or whatever whatever I needed to from rugby, which was beautiful.
Did the anxiety, the stress of worrying, did it increase as you got older, or has it always been there from, under 20s or, juniors?
No, it definitely decreased as soon as I started meditating, as soon as I started doing yoga.
But I mean, when as a player, I'm talking about now though.
As a player, so
like when you went to Wigan, when you went then to overseas,
right?
Come back. Was it always increasing as you got older, or did it decrease once you started?
Yeah, I'd say it kind of went like up and down. It definitely increased when I moved to Wigan. So at London, man, I was enjoying my rugby. I was playing with my best mates that I'd grown up with, played academy with. Living near my mates back home, I had a good work-life balance. Moved to Wigan, didn't know anyone.
Different type of lifestyle as well, right?
Yeah, man, didn't realise it was like what they worship.
Yeah.
So I was like, so my mentality again was, I mess up, the whole town's on my back. And that, like, when you overthink things, it's not actually what's happening. And even if it is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's their problem. If someone's getting so fixated on a sport, on a game. Do you know what game means? Game should be fun. Like, games should be fun, man. And professional sport, you have to get caught. You have to step back and be like, am I getting caught up in this? I need to enjoy this. This is a game. I know there's a lot riding on it, but if I'm not going to enjoy it, I'm slaving. Like I played what, 10? I can't even work it out on it. What was it? 2010 I debuted. So what are we in now? 12 years probably. And I'd say 10 of them, man, I was just like in fear, just in anxiety, just in blah, blah, blah. I didn't really enjoy the journey. Yeah. So I succeeded by my terms. Some people might not agree. Like, I wanted to play international, I wanted to play NRL, I wanted to win a grand final. I did all them things.
Yeah, man.
And like played at Old Trafford in front of 70,000. Like, I was like, wow, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But I couldn't enjoy it because I was success focused and not journey focused. Not in the moment, enjoying every moment, enjoying it as a game, as going out there, expressing myself. And the fear just inhibits creativity. So I remember being like, I just remember I never really played how I should be playing. Do you remember, like, we're going deep into rugby now. I didn't want to go deep into rugby, but do you remember like a Joel Moon?
Yes.
And he used to just skip along the line and do his own thing.
Whatever he wanted to do.
I didn't want to do that because I was scared fans would be like, why is he running sideways? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Stay in your lane. Sort
of thing. And I used to just like, a lot of people like, yeah, he don't pass, he's greedy. So I started passing. I'm like, no, I should have just been beating defenders. And once I'm past them, I'll pass.
You had a great skip, man. You could skip a defender really well.
And I suppressed it all, man, because I was worried what other people thought about my performance.
Yeah.
So the fear inhibited my creativity of just getting out there in the moment. Bang, there's a guy there. Like, that's when I used to play my best.
Yeah.
It's even looking back, it's just...
But you're reflecting that with awareness now.
Yeah. But that's what it is, isn't it? That's what I'm saying with the yoga and meditation.
It's decreased all of that.
That all yoga and meditation does for me, it's like people go to yoga to stretch and whatever.
Yeah.
It brings awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness is so key, man.
It's key. You need it, man. Otherwise, you go so far in life, and you just have these moments. You're shit, and you've got this backlog of things you've just not addressed.
Definitely, bro.
But talking about that fear, so one thing I noticed when I was in Australia was, and you might notice this when you're at the Titans, was I think they like compliment. They tell you to, if that 50-50's on, have a go.
Yeah.
And if you fuck it up, and just move on to the next job. Where over here, it is a lot more fear driven. You fuck up, all right, next set, just hold the ball, just punch through. Or you're doing video, and it's all about pumping them up of what they do, they do. Not what about, well, what we do as a team. We can, you know what I mean? It's just the different narrative, the perspective on that thing. And I think sometimes we kind of get lost in worrying about them so much we forget about what our natural talent is.
Bro, you should listen to Johnny Wilkinson podcast again. When you're talking, and when it's quite sport related, I can relate back to the Johnny thing so much, man. Yeah. Because he said towards the back end of his career, he started to understand a bit more and be like, no, everyone should be out there expressing himself and creative, and let's not think about, if we lose. And he said he used to walk around and create like an energy in the room and just be like, let's get out there, let's do our best. All the things that you can control, let's do our best, let's work hard, blah, blah, blah. And then he said he'd get everyone like pumped up, and the coach would come over and go, if we lose this week, blah, blah, blah. And it was like
pressure,
predicting the future already and creating the fear of if we lose. Yeah. And boom, straight into a fear-based energy, which is different, which is like, right, tuck it up your jumper then, don't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think switch into a... Yeah,
I think Matt Gitter was talking about that once. I heard him say about Johnny Wilkinson where he had really bad trust issues with who was his centres outside him. Really? So if it was predominantly, he would just kick the ball unless he could trust them. Wow. And then, even when he won the World Cup in 2003, he had unbelievable centres outside him, so he trusted them. Yeah. So then when he went to Toulon, he had Gito outside him, and Gito was like, do the chip or pass, and it took him a while, he said, to trust.
Sick, cool. Really?
But it's interesting now. Maybe I should need to check him out. Maybe
it's cool podcast.
maybe one day we might get him on here. You never know about that.
Man, yeah, he's got his own podcast now. I haven't really listened to it, man, but he definitely had some sort of awakening, and by awakening, I'm saying, I mean, not spiritual woo-woo stuff, whatever people think, but like an increased awareness around things. And the way he talks, man, is beautiful.
So, you reflect now, you had those, how many years was it at Wigan?
Awful stuff like this. What I do, I did 3 years, come back and did 2, so 5, maybe 6 years.
So then you went to the Titans in that period, did you? Yeah?
In between, 2017. Man.
Is it obviously after those 3 years where you like, I want to give it a crack out there?
And I just couldn't turn down the money, man. Again, money's been a big one in my life, but
motivator.
The success of money thing as well, the trap we get caught in, the capitalist trap, the societal trap. It's like, don't get me wrong, I still would have gone out there. I just wish my intention was different. Like I wasn't going out there for the money and for the lifestyle, and because not to kids who watch, I don't know, the Kardashians or whatever. I didn't have everything in terms of a mansion, a butler, and someone cooking for me. But I had what I had always kind of dreamed of type thing. I had like, I didn't ever think about spending money. I was on enough money where I just didn't. I was like bang, bang, bang. Didn't ever look at stuff. Not this ain't in an arrogant way.
No, I get
this is just to set the scene of where I bought a house 50 meters from the beach, man. And we used to go to the beach every day. And I was living with my 2 best mates. My 2 best mates were traveling from school. And I messaged him and said, listen, I might sign in the NRL. I was like, I'm going out there on my own, though. And I knew how much I struggled moving to Wigan on my own. So I said, do you want to come live with me? They were like, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. I was like, I'll pay the rent. I'll sort us all out, whatever. And they were like, yeah, man, we'll meet you over there. They were like in Cambodia or something, like proper traveller mode. And yeah, man, we couldn't get a house for ages. We was in an Airbnb for like, bro, I haven't spoken about this before, but not that it's mad, but for like 6 months, we was in an Airbnb. And because we couldn't find a rental property, and I didn't want to split something that was too expensive for them, and I didn't really care. So I was they'd both met girlfriends, so it was in a 2-bed apartment. They were in double beds, and I was on the sofa playing NRL, man. I was sleeping
No
on the
way.
sofa. Yeah, man. I was just like sleeping on the sofa and like up late every night. And I was like, wow. When I look back, I was like, I didn't really give it the crap. But because I was struggling so much mentally, I needed that. If it all comes back to, if I was in a good place, I would have been able to maybe get an apartment on my own, be a bit more dedicated. But I needed my mates around me to help me forget that, like, socialising, man.
Just a take away from that feeling, maybe.
Definitely, man. The same way alcohol does, the same way drug does. Like people who, there'll be people who are struggling out there that book up all their time, can't spend any time alone. That was me. But I couldn't even nap. I remember being so anxious and so depressed, I couldn't nap. I don't know what it was. I was like, why am I napping? Like, shouldn't I be working through this? I'm like, no. And I remember napping was the only place I'd find peace.
You could switch off.
Yeah, it's the only time I could switch my mind off. So I used to nap every day, bro. 2 hours, like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad I got. But I didn't realise. Even at the time, I was just like, no, I'm just knackered from rugby. You know, like telling myself the excuses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy the things you do. And looking back, it weren't just alcohol, drugs and stuff like that. It was everything. I was suppressing my emotions for everything. And we're not taught to feel them.
Like, there's so many ways I can go with this conversation. But you, like, you know, were you aware at the time there was depression or mental health in the
nah, because I still kept looking to the future and being like, once I win a grand final, I'll be fine. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be able to sit there and tell. I always used to have this like vision. I'd be like, I'll be able to sit there and tell my grandkids that I played in a grand final and won and blah, 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 and that will make me happy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I could tell someone I succeeded to make me happy. So it was external validation again. I was just like, and it's crazy, man. And then I thought, and then after that, I was like, wow, won the grand final, and we went drinking for like 3 days, and I was like, shit, I still don't feel too good, you know, but maybe it'll kick in soon. Maybe it hasn't hit me yet. And I was like, no, it doesn't hit me. Drinking, drugs. Then I turned to prescription drugs midweek. I was taking like codeine, tramadol in like midweek. That's when I looked back and realised, wow, I was really struggling. But I still didn't know I was struggling. I still didn't have a clue, man. But we're not educated to be like, I don't know, especially back then. Like, I feel like people are becoming more aware now, and people are coming out and speaking. And I do want to come out and speak about this stuff with people and just be like, here's a few things that I didn't realise. If you're doing this sort of thing now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Just self-reflect a bit and just be like, why am I doing this? Is there something behind this? Or just a bit of honesty inwards, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, I thought the NRL, that was what I put it on. I was like, played England, grand final. All right, if I go to Australia, I live in Australia with my best mates and play NRL, then I'll be happy. Got out there, rock bottom.
Worse.
Like, yeah, cry.
You were surrounded away from them more again.
Just because there was nothing else to achieve in my eyes. Like, I couldn't play for like what's above international, playing for the Earth against like a different planet or something. It's like, but if that was the case, like, that's where I would have aimed. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but
no, it makes sense at the time.
But I had nothing else. I had no other excuse to put in front of me. Like, so once I got out there and had the beach, had the sun every day, had my mates, were living near the beach, with like living the life, man. I was just like, as soon as I'd leave my mates, I'd be crying my eyes out. I'd be like, wow, something's not right. And even then, I didn't want to tell anyone. Even then, I did not, like, the male thing, the male stigma. I'll hold my hand wholeheartedly. I'll admit, I didn't want to be a burden on anyone. I didn't want anyone to have to feel my pain. That was my pain. Like I didn't want to put that on any of my mates, and that's where I got it all wrong. That's where. Do you know what I mean?
I get you, brother. I pick you up because
you're pretty similar, when you.
Yeah, mate. Not at all. It's that feeling of going through things. I'm just listening in. And I appreciate your honesty, because when when you're going through those things, you don't want to put that weight on someone else. You kind of like trying to figure it out and navigate what is going on yourself. So when you're trying to explain that to someone, but you can't explain it. No. But yeah, it's interesting. But like, obviously the conversations we've had, like, if you ask yourself now, if you stem it back, you reflect, where do you think it comes from, that, that feeling?
The what feeling, man?
Like, for instance, the crying, the once I get this, I'm going to be happy, or once I get that, when I'm going to be happy. But now it's like, well, hang on, it's something internally here. But is it rooted from something? Like, you know, you've talked about before, going, when you play for England, you went to New Zealand. Like, how was that feeling?
It was just not feeling good enough, man. It was just not feeling good enough. Yeah, and looking for things outside myself. What you would say about me, what the medal I had for playing in a grand, like what that would represent towards me, would, like, everything was outside of me. Yeah. The house by the beach, it's outside of me. It's not in me. I don't own it. It's just there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm telling myself a story. Oh, I'm happy now because I've got this. I'm happy now, and the truth that your body knows the truth. You know the truth. Yeah. You can only kid yourself for so long.
100%. And because you're telling yourself as well, like, society has told you these things make you happy. Yeah. So then you're going, I'll keep chasing this because I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And then before you know, you've ticked every goal that you've set yourself. Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah, but why would you not trust society? Like, growing up, we're so naive, and this could go. You've got a choice of where you want to take this now.
Let's go, brother.
But I'm saying, like, why would we not trust humanity? Like, why would we not trust society? And I'm not saying capitalism is a bad thing, but it leads everyone down a kind of a path that never ends. It's like we strive for more, and we strive for more, and we strive for more, and it's like, why shouldn't we be educated about the real things that matter, like connection and community, and do you know what I mean? The things that really matter, and how to love people, how to forgive, how to these amazing traits that are just brushed to one side. And it's like, no, get a 9 till 5, become a slave to the system, and just grow the economy for the elites, man.
Yeah, you're bang on there, man. It's so true. It's so true. Like, even recently, Dad's not been well.
Sorry to hear that,
it's been tough, but he's not doing well. And then Dad probably retired from work probably not long ago because he loved working. But he's in he's 72, so you know. But and then not long after, he's been incredibly ill, and you're like, and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, I just don't get it. I've worked all my life. I've done everything that, you know, we're meant to do, and now I'm like in this position." And I'm like, because we're led to believe that that's the life we're meant to do, to be this abundance of joy, like you say, man. And he struggled with, you know, not being able to talk. Like, he's an older generation again, so that communicating is out the window.
They're
but then
a different breed, man, aren't they?
We can really solve a lot of problems with community, connection, you know, doing things that make you happy. Like, instead of thinking that these things that we've been taught to make us happy, you know, if that is gardening, if that is wake up in the morning and just saying what I'm grateful for, if that is texting my mate today, "Hey man, hope you're having a good day," or phoning a friend and having a good laugh. These things are pushed to the side, like you said.
Defo, man.
We're told that these things are not going to make you happy. We're told that that car you got on finance is going to make you happy because everyone else sees you. Look at him with this flash thing. Those Gucci belts or those new Nikes you're about to wear, they're $9 grand, you know.
But like, so put the shoe on the other foot. Imagine we grow up and they say, listen, you can get this car on finance, but you can just get another car and it doesn't really matter. Then what are Audi and that saying, man, who make millions? What's the CEO of Audi saying? They're saying, hang on a minute, why are we advertising? Why are we telling people this? They're not going to buy our product, and we're not going to make money off it, and we're not going to. You know what I mean? The people at the top who own these big multi-million pound, who arguably run the world or have a big say in what goes on in the world, man. Like, you think, we go to Google for everything. That is owned by one company. So one CEO, has the database of everything I've ever searched. If he wanted, though, if someone at the top, wanted to stitch me up, I'm gone. I'm not a bad person, but I'll search one little thing somewhere. And they'll catch me out on it.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not safe, man. I'm way down probably like I don't even know what rabbit hole that is, man.
I know what you're saying though.
But you know what I mean? It's like, but it's back to your dad, man. It's like he was just taught. I got goosebumps when you told me that, man, because it's so sad. And I just think it's a generational trend. I think it's just generation pass on to generation until someone goes through enough, just like hits rock bottom's a beautiful thing. Rock bottom's a beautiful thing because without rock bottom, we just sit in comfortability, and in comfortability, there's no growth. There's no that you don't want to increase your awareness because everything's all right, but you don't know that things can get better because. But when you really hit rock bottom, sadly, it will take some people's lives, and that's the bit we need to stop, man. That can be so prevented. Like for someone not to want to be on this earth anymore and live life, it's crazy, man.
I know.
So I lost where I was going with that.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Because that's a point where, hey, you can't suffer anymore. There's rock bottom, and you go, hey, there's only way you can go up from here. Because I believe you got to hit some form of rock bottom because you got to endure that. Because life, regardless what you do in life, it's never comfortable. Like every decision you make is one way or the other about it. Yeah, you decide which path you want to go. Defo. If I sit home all day at Netflix and watch Netflix all day, I'm gonna feel like shit and think about I should be doing better. Yeah, and then you'll do something extremely well. And then you go, okay, well, what can I do next? So again, there's a challenge, there's a discomfort, there's a little bit of win, and you go again. Defo. But definitely going back to even Dad's generation, like Dad's probably covered up a lot of his things with drink. So my outlook on alcohol is not fun because there's some people out there who like a casual drink, and hey, I've got no issue with that. Oh yeah, man. No. But it's like when you know when you finish the end of your day and I need that drink to end it, you need to ask yourself why there.
It's the intention again. Intention is everything, man. And when you question the intention, you'll increase your awareness around it. It's the two words that will just keep flying up everywhere. It's like some people do just do it just to loosen up. But even to loosen up, for me, I used to do it and it used to increase my confidence. So I was just like, oh no, I'm just loosening up, and that was the excuse I told myself. But then I'm like, why am I not confident? Like, am I self-sabotaging? What am I doing? Am I insecure? If I'm insecure, whoa, hang on. Insecurities, I don't want to talk about that. I'm a man, I'm not insecure. I'm strong, I'm powerful. Do you know what I mean? But it's being able to admit, I was insecure in a lot of areas. And them insecurities aren't a bad thing, you know. Not at all. You're just like I'm saying, you're just a product of your past experience. Yeah. So if you're a kid, while your mind's developing, while your mind's in like a theta brainwave state, and like up until 7 years old, that is the brainwave state of hypnosis. So anything you're told, or anything you're told you're not good enough, or any kid that takes the mickey out of you for something during that age, it'll create that deep root. 100%. It creates that deep root, and the root will branch out into other little insecurities, and you'll question yourself, and it just programs the mind very early on. And it just takes a lot of work to undo it. It's not the end of the world. Nah.
Just like that weed. When you pull that
That's
weed,
where I was bringing it back to, man.
Love that. I could see you doing it.
You saw it, didn't you? You see me doing the...
Yeah, you put it down, I just picked it up. I love that.
Yeah, man.
Love that, Dan.
It's what it is. And it's like anyone who is on that healing journey, anyone who is just coming face to face with their demons as such, or their insecurities, and has the bravery to speak about that. Oh man, I've got so much time for anyone who I honor anyone who's brave enough to go within and start filtering out the bits that are good and the bits that are bad. And I suppose it's not about good and bad. I suppose, but the things that don't serve you, things that are stopping you becoming the best version of yourself. If you know what I mean.
So true, and I believe that so much, and even down to your environment. Look around and see the people you're hanging out with.
Yeah, man.
They play a massive part in what you're doing and who you currently identify as to a certain extent. Like,
Defo.
Hang out with people who just want to party all the time. You're that guy. If you want to hang out with people who want to improve, you're that guy. Yeah. If you want to hang out with people who are just fucking around all the time, you're that guy. Yeah. And then that comes the same with women. I'm not just saying that as a guy, but
no, true, man.
One thing I want to ask you, Dan, and I hope you don't mind me asking you, like, we talk about relationships with our parents, and like you talk about what you're at that age, you're picking up so much as a young child. What was the relationship like with mum and dad? Dad was an alcoholic, and again with things like that, when people are like, oh, they're an addict, they're an alcoholic,
I've got so much empathy for anyone with any sort of addiction now, because I understand it. I understand they're suppressing their emotion. They've got too much pain within them. Addiction is covering pain.
100%.
In most cases. So when I say my dad's an alcoholic, I'm not saying he's an alcoholic. I'm saying he uses alcohol because he lost his dad when he was young, and he's lost his 2 brothers, and it's a lot of pain for a man to handle. So I just wanted to clear that up.
I appreciate
you know what I mean, man. I don't want to say, I don't want to badmouth anyone. No one does anything. No one's really a bad person within my family. It's just my dad was an alcoholic, and my mum got up and left in the middle of the night. We were born in Australia. Me and my little brother were born in Australia. Brother's born in England, and my mum was left with no choice but to leave in the middle of the night, and obviously broke my dad's heart. And my mum obviously wouldn't have wanted to do it, but it wasn't safe for us sometimes, and the effort that my mum was putting in was outweighed by my dad, and she wanted some support. My mum and my grandma and grandpa's back here, so we left. But straight away, for a kid, we don't think about it. What like going deeper again? What does that do to a kid? A kid doesn't really understand what's happened. A kid just thinks, I'm not. That's where the insecurity of I'm not good enough. Like, I see all these people with their dads, and I'm like, why don't I have a dad? Am I not good enough to have a dad? That's where the seed's planted. Early doors, where I'm talking that early doors, it's like, but we don't know that. As a kid, we're not walking around going, I'm not good enough, I haven't got a dad. But that's the psychology. It's like, wow, all these other people have got a dad, and they're playing football and they're running around. So my mum took us all on, and my mum did everything for us, man. My mum was mad. She'd worked like 3 jobs, and she was amazing, man. But you can imagine 3 boys. And if there was stuff she hadn't dealt with, I'm saying the generational stuff that had been passed on, you can pick up behaviours and traits and from friends and blah blah blah, and yeah, I suppose I just picked a lot of stuff up. I became very stubborn. I couldn't really express my emotions. My mum finds it hard to express her emotions. Yeah, and the kind of classic, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry for. That one, man, that was just that generation. That's not my mum, that's that generation. Yeah. But what does that do to you? What does that do to you? Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry for.
Keep it all in.
I can't show this emotion. Oh, right, if I can't show this emotion, how will I show it? And you watch people getting angry around you, and they start to get their own way. I'm like, so if I'm angry, that's how I can express it, and people will back down to me. So I developed anger and stubbornness and couldn't ever be wrong, and they're like a recipe. They're a recipe to kind of like destroy relationships as I was growing up. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of. But I remember I used to walk around that, like the classic stubbornness, man. We used to fall out of something, probably my fault, usually my fault, and I'd be the one just sat there like that, not talking. And do you know what I mean? I'd be like, you have to talk first. But it's so toxic, man. Yeah. But what about just being taught to talk about, I feel this certain way, and what I've learned is just having that conversation, but in such a loving way. Will never provoke a. If I tell you I could tell you something that you're doing that's annoying me. You're not annoying me, but if I do it in the most loving way, and in the most heartfelt way, I guarantee you won't get angry at me, and we won't land up arguing.
The way we express it.
Yeah. So it's like. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So it's kind of taking that on board, and I don't know, man. I picked up a lot of traits that didn't really serve me, and been trying to release them. But again, you have to notice yourself doing it in real life.
100%. Yep.
Or at first, what I did at first was I'd notice 2 days later, and I'd journal. Journaling was mad. People look at journaling and like, I seen the journal there, bro. It's game changer, man.
Game changer, brother.
Game changer. 22 as well.
No, he's old, mate.
Yes, bro. Good, that's sick. That's cool, man. Always with you.
Yeah.
But with the journaling, what I found, people use it for different reasons. But I would find myself doing something, and I wouldn't want to admit it for a few days. Then a few days later, I'd be like, that was probably my fault. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's write that down. Right, it was my fault. Blah blah blah. I should probably apologise. Blah blah blah. And I'd apologise, and I'd write down how I felt after I apologised. Wow, weight's been lifted. So it'd take me 3 days to realise. Then as my awareness grew, I would notice after like a day. And this is just with everyday life stuff. This is things I want to change about myself to become a better version of myself. Then eventually I got to the stage now where I catch myself doing it in the moment. And that's where the beauty is. That's when you can
Yes.
really change the behaviour. Because now I don't have to go back and apologise. It saves me that pain of going back up and, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it was my fault.
I agree so much with that. Have you ever found as well, at one stage, you know, I've found like you'd find yourself in little gossips with guys, or you'd be gossiping. And that feeling you would get when you leave a gossip, or you'd be bitching about someone.
Yeah.
It's not a nice feeling, man, because in that moment you're all festering on that negative, and it makes you all feel good, and then you walk away and you're like, fuck, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
So what I learned was that wasn't serving me purpose. And like, again, over time, writing it down.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, well, if I don't need to do that, I started to catch myself just before I felt like I'm in this circle and I got to fit into this circle.
Yeah.
Pause, just pause.
Yeah, man.
And be like, and then when you pause and you don't agree with the three, they start hating you because you're not fucking bitching about that person.
I know, man.
You know what I mean?
And I battled for so many. I pick my battles with that now. If I'm gonna go against three people again, even if I do it in a loving way, if I turn around and say, what the F are you lot on about? I swear, can't I?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you lot on about, man? Leave him alone. Like, do you think it's his fault? Blah blah blah. And everyone's like, whoa, hang on a minute, you disagreeing with it? Like, so you'll trigger him straight away, and you'll probably get an angry response. But like with rugby, man, you had to pick your battles towards the end. It's like I either walk away, but then am I really sticking up for what I believe in? But then if I stick up for what I believe in with everything, and I believe a lot of different things to the norm, to the societal norms, am I going to isolate myself? Yeah. And you get caught in that middle ground where it's like, okay, I'll pick my odd little battles and I'll deliver it as well as I can, and I won't get caught up in these duels. I still get caught up in duels now. Yeah, and I can feel my energy shifting.
But you're human. Like they talk about, you know, we have this little chimp in us, or you know, where like it's reactive. It reacts, but then if you can catch your chimp, as they say, man, you're winning, because that's awareness coming back. Definitely. But at the same time, you're still human. Like, so many times I've, you know, done all these things, and then before you know it, I've knee-jerked reaction to something. I'm like, and then you can either get annoyed with yourself for reacting that, but hey, not everyone is as aware you are either. No one's like some.
You got to honour where people are at.
Yeah, man. And you got to honour yourself too, because you've come so far. Yeah, man, definitely. Kindness is the key as well. I think we're so hard and critical on ourselves. We've got to come kind to ourselves and tell yourself what you love about yourself as well. Like, because our brains are critical to, we need to do better. And this thing is so not soft, but it picks up everything we say. Yeah, man. So if you're saying, fucking hell, I'm shit at this, I'm shit at that, you're going to be shit at that. But if you tell yourself...
Repetition, man. Yeah. Repetition with that sort of negative self-talk.
It's like reps in the gym, but there's reps with yourself.
With the brain, of course it is, man. It's the same as meditation. Like, once I truly understood what meditation was doing for me, at first, all I use it for now, again, people might use it for different things, but a lot of my programming is negative self-talk because I don't believe in myself deep down. I do a lot more now. But it's catching that thought and just thinking, this is just a thought. Yeah. And again, understanding, I'm like a broken record, but understanding that the thought is just from a past experience. Yep. It's not who you are now. It's not what you believe now. But if you keep entertaining it, that thought will remain your belief system. Yes. So you will continue not to believe on yourself and live because someone told me I was rubbish at 10 years old, and I've clung to that, and I'm like, what if everyone thinks that, or something like that? You know what I mean?
We've all had that.
So meditation is thinking, like we all know what it's like, man. You can get caught up. Some of the thoughts you go into, like I was speaking with Lewis Tierney and Joe Burgess the other day, and before bed, I couldn't believe it, man. Before bed, Dom and Freddie, sorry. Before bed, they imagine what they'll do if someone breaks into their house.
That's what they think about.
And they go through scenarios. So they're putting all their energy into the future. Yeah, they're creating a stress response. Because don't tell me you're thinking about wrestling 3 burglars with knives and stuff. Yeah. Don't tell me you're not getting any rush of blood, that fight or flight, that using all your energy in something that 99.99% won't happen. Don't quote me on that stat. No, I get that. You know what I mean? But I was just fascinated. I was like, wow.
Putting your energy on something it's not even happened.
Yeah. And what meditation will do is, wow, I'm thinking about something in the future, or wow, I'm pressing play to something that happened to me in the past.
Yeah.
But just come back to the middle, come back to the center where none of that's happening, and I don't need to be in a stress response. I can walk around feeling peaceful.
Yeah.
And if something happens that stresses me or triggers me or hits an insecurity, I can, with that awareness, I can learn to let go in that moment. Whereas before, someone would point out an insecurity to me back in the day, and that would be with me all day. I'd be like, see, I told you weren't good enough. They told me that, and so that reinforces what I believe.
You start putting creating this thing, and I told you so sort of thing.
Of course you do, man. And
I think for me, it was the best thing from the meditation was letting go of anger towards certain situations, or if someone's hurt me, and coming awareness to expectations. Yeah, I've probably something my knee jerk is where what I might do for you, you might not do for me, and I should be okay that because I shouldn't expect anything from you. Yeah, but I shouldn't change who I am because that's who I am. Yeah, and that's probably something I would probably say I've worked on because I try and catch myself now.
Hey. But was you brought up to believe that?
Yeah, well, no, it's just more like I think for instance, my family, man, my mum is your story, your childhood when you talk about your three brothers. I got two other brothers, so there's three of us. Dad's an alcoholic. Mum doesn't touch a drop, but hardworking, just works her whole life, just grafter. Yeah, man. Emotionally, I can tell she'll tell me she loves me, but if we talk about feelings, it's like talk. It's like it's one of those, isn't it? You start. Yeah.
I've left the oven on.
I better put the kettle on or something. You know what I mean? And,
yeah, man.
And
again, it's not their fault.
No.
They might not have been expressed it when they were young. They didn't learn how to do it.
But my mum's love language is acts of service.
Yeah, mine too.
So mum would bake cakes, make food, and she still does it today, and she'll give them to everyone. So what she's taught us is you give your last penny or you do whatever you can for other people. Yeah. So I've done that, but realizing now that not everyone is the same as what I've been wired to be, give and support. And but then I am very blessed at the same time because in that same sentence, if you're winning, I'm your biggest cheerleader, man. I'm fucking cheering, even if I barely known you, but you're doing well. I'm like, hey, man.
Has that always been the case?
Yeah.
Or since you brought awareness to it?
I think I've always been happy, unless you're in my same position as me in rugby. I'm like, fuck you.
Really? Like, hey, that's a massive one, isn't it? Bro, how mad is that, though?
If you're in my position, for some reason, I can get on with everyone in the team. But if you're in my position...
Still?
Not as bad now. I'll just go score.
But it's still there.
Yeah, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, but it's always going to be there. That's part of acknowledging the shadow. Yeah, it's like the shadow will always be there, and the brighter you shine, the more it will cast a shadow. So you'll become more aware of your shadow. It's always going to be there. Yeah, you'll always have them thoughts. I used to have it, bro. But it's just whether you press play to it and whether you attach to it and go, I don't.
The guy's done nothing wrong with me. He's a good guy, but for some reason there's a competitive edge. Goes, hey, you got my number. Yeah, I'm gonna do you.
It's mad. Yeah, I've always been like that, you know. And God bless the people who have played in my position, but I don't know, man. It's what gets you to a professional level, though.
Yeah, you gotta have it.
Because if someone comes in and you don't have, I'm going a bit off here, but there's got to be a balance. You we still would have been respectful to that person, but in the mind, there's always them. Yeah. There's you see him do something good in training, you turn away, pretend you haven't seen it, or try and distract the coach.
What's up, coach?
Yeah, crop that out. Things like the video, man, because you see him do something good and it hurts you a bit because you're like, wow, am I going to be dropped out of the team? But again, it's that. I get a bit of fear of failure. Am I good enough? That's what it used to play to me. That looking back,
so true. It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
because we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. It's 99.9%.
I reckon everyone in professional sport. Well, to become a professional, you have to be competitive. There's the odd freak of nature, man, that's just naturally gifted. Yeah. But most people are competitive. To get to that level, like a lot of people fall off the bandwagon, don't they? Yeah. A lot of talented players when we're younger. Yeah. Give in to temptation, but it's the competitiveness that sometimes pulls you away from the temptation 100%. Of, I don't know, women or drugs or I'm saying drugs or alcohol. I did it alongside it. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But you know what I mean? When you're younger.
Yeah. It's so true, man. So true. The best thing about all of this, though, is like I'm just happy and grateful that I've connected you. I connected you, I don't know how long ago it was now, but in my eyes, man, I'm like, he's in a good place. Like, I'm happy the journey you're on, and I know you're happy where you're at.
Yeah, man. I mean, the competitiveness creeps in a bit, and it's not competitiveness because I'm not competing against anyone, but I want to be more peaceful. I want to be, and there's a lot of areas in my life I still need to work, and it's an endless. The journey never ends, man.
100%.
So it's about enjoying it, because sometimes I can get caught up in, if I work through this, and this, then I'll be happy. Where have we heard that before, man? Where have we heard that before? It's like, no, can I be happy? Can I be happy on the journey? Can I be in the moment? And every time something goes bad, honor it. And be like, wow, I can see the lessons behind this, man. Are we on, or are we just?
Yeah, we're on now, but we can go from where it was. But what I'm saying is, Dan, is like, so, you know, when we spoke before, I find that a really like a pinnacle moment, and you might feel like it wasn't really, but because I don't know the connection with your dad. But like, do you want to talk about that time when you got selected and you went over to New Zealand with the England team? Is that right? Was it? Or was it the Warriors against the Warriors?
New Zealand Warriors, I think. Yeah, when we were playing Sydney Roosters in 2014. Yeah.
Oh,
is that what you mean? Yeah.
When he came to the hotel one?
Yeah, yes. yeah.
So what was that? You played against for Wigan then, was it?
Yeah, it was in Auckland. Sorry, this ain't good content, is it? Well, when my dad rocked up and I was in the hotel. Yeah,
yeah, man. Yeah. Who was that with?
That was with Wigan Warriors. Yeah,
Wigan, okay.
Wigan, yeah. So yeah, no, I had like needles in me. I was getting acupuncture in the hotel, and I'd seen my dad like once before. Like before I was like, so when I was like 2 or 3, my mum left my dad. We never seen our dad again, and we seen him once. He come over, and then hadn't seen him again. Never really communicated with him, and I just remember being on the bed with like a load of needles in me, so I couldn't move. Yeah, the boys were like, someone's in reception saying he's saying he's your dad. I was like, nah. I was like, he lives in New Zealand, but he lives South Island. It won't be him. And they were like, well, he's saying he's not leaving. He's saying he's here to see you. He's blah blah blah. And he's a bit drunk. Like he might have been nervous about coming to see me or whatever. So, and I was like, no way. I was like, well, can someone get these needles out of me and I'll go have a look. And like went out there and yeah, he was there. And I was like, wow. And yeah, such a overwhelming thing, do you know, like where I didn't expect to see him there at all. I'd only ever seen him once, didn't remember him as a kid, and yeah, quite a mad thing. Not something I think about often, but definitely quite a mad event. I
just thought when I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, fuck, that's wild. Yeah, and like just that, like, did it put you off your game or did it?
No, I don't think so. He came and watched the game, but no, it didn't put me off my game. Like I'm saying, once the whistle went, but I'm too worried about New Zealand Warriors players. I'm on YouTube watching New Zealand Warriors centres. I'm not worried about stuff like that. Like you know what I mean.
You get real tunnel vision then when you're in on something.
Yeah, man. Like I used to go into and yeah, I used to like watch video at home, and I was proper in on it, man. But yeah, it created a lot of unnecessary suffering. I did it the hard way. Man. I definitely could have reached the same level, if not higher. Because I just see it all as energy expenditure. Like if we talk about everything's energy on on a molecular level, like wherever I'm worrying about stuff that is going to happen in the future. Say I worry for 6 days, and I'm in that, and I'm imagining someone fending me off and getting around and them scoring, and it's all my fault, and I'm getting that feeling of dread and fear and whatever, and I'm in that state. I'm using a lot of energy mentally. You don't have to use energy physically. Like I'm using, your cells don't really know the difference, can't differentiate between mental and physical stress. That's why people with a lot of stress and overthinkers and that, they'll always be ill a lot more. Yeah. Because their energy's in this fight or flight, ready to knock out a tiger or wrestle a hippo, man. That's what that system is developed for. Yeah. Developed. New word. Developed.
Urban Dictionary. It's a bit like thinking that burglar's going to come in. All that energy you're invested on.
Man. Of course it is. And then that energy isn't there to help your immune system. And that's why I used to get ill all the time, man.
Really?
Yeah, I barely get ill anymore. Touch wood. I'll be honest. But I barely get ill, and it's like, because my body's got a lot more energy to do other things. And
do you know anyone like when you play rugby, I always have those people or come across those people where they be yawning all the time just before game and kick off, yawning.
Yeah.
And it's like they're exhausted because of all of the
Do you reckon? Yeah, man.
like the energy they've thought about the game, what they got to do, the opposition. You know, you've got 4 players pumped up next to you. You've got the coach tapping you what you got to do out there.
So
and you know,
true, man.
And before you know, they're like, really tired, mate.
Yeah.
You know, that you have those type of people. And
yeah, that was me, man. That was me. I remember game days. I used to go to bed late the night before, so I used to stay up and watch a film. I'd never go to bed late, but I'd stay up late because I wanted to lay in.
Yeah.
The longer I didn't have to spend in the day before the game, the better.
Yeah, okay.
There's less time worrying. So I'm like, I thought I cracked it, but really I was coming out of my sleep pattern. I was knackered because I weren't following my structure and whatever. I didn't realise. And then I'd get up, have brekkie, go back to bed for 2 hours. No word of a lie, yeah. And then I'd get up, have lunch, like loads of carbs, go back to bed for 2 hours. I used to sleep all day.
Jeez.
Too worried. And just, that was just my competitive nature. That was just, so yeah, I did it the hard way, man. I didn't do it the enjoyable way.
Because you were playing so well, though, did you think that this is working?
I was like, why change a winning formula?
Don't break what's not broken.
Yeah, I was like, if I don't sleep all day, what if I don't play well? Like, and I was playing well, but even looking back, man, I was like, my legs were always heavy. I was always in a, like, my opposite number would get the ball, and I'd be like, in that moment, I'd be thinking, what if they get round me here? And I'm like, but really, man, like, no one, like, the odd person would go around me, but that's just the game. That's like, the game, no one could go around you. Then you're the best player in the world. Yeah, and I weren't that. So,
but the best player in the world would still get put around now and then.
Exactly, man.
You said Sonny Bill Williams or someone just off the top of my head.
Exactly.
They've been done over at stages in their career. Like, they're still human.
I couldn't grasp that concept. I couldn't grasp it.
I just remember you that great step. You just do this little wiggle. It's like you have a wiggle and you just beat them. Yeah. I remember watching it with you at the Titans. I don't know who you're playing against. You were just taking a hard carry. Yeah. And you just little footwork, and then you'd find your front and get back up. And I was like, fuck, you had that. Yeah. Not many outside backs did well over there, but you seem to do well in that footwork.
Yeah, it was all right, man. I was injured over there. So I was carrying like a patella tendon issue. It was close to rupturing, like I had scans and that. It was like, so I had 6 weeks off in pre-season, so I didn't do much pre-season. And all the outside backs are like 100 kilos. So I was like, 89 kilos. Hadn't done any strength, like I'd done weights and that, but I hadn't really trained much. My fitness was off and couldn't really step because it was my knee, my left knee. Like I used to step off my left foot. So I was just taking like straight carries, putting a bit of footwork on, but I weren't the same player. And I played a lot on the wing and that. I don't know, man. It was tough at the time, but looking back, just so much gold to extract from that. Like, it was a big turning point, man.
I talk a lot about state of mind. And if you think about it, when you're in a state, that's a moment. And I believe you can change your state of feeling whenever, if you really wanted to. Like, if I said to you, like, reflect on a time when you were like, you achieved something really good. And if you said it, what would that be? Because you know instantly something you've done well if you reflect on it. What would that be?
So like the grand finals, man. Yeah, definitely.
And it brings a smile or a good feeling to yourself, right? So that's a state there.
Yeah. Walking around that pitch, man, afterwards is just like you've played the whole season and all pre-season and all the games, all the tough. Yeah, it's mad. It all comes into one moment, crammed in. Yeah. It's a mad moment, like euphoric high.
And then if I said to you, okay, a state now, a negative state, you could find one pretty quick and it can change your instant feeling pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's kind of like, what do you decide to put your energy on? Yeah.
And it's interesting, man, because you can go back and revisit them moments, and you can change your whole perception on it, and you can change how you feel about that moment. That's the thing about the past. It's how you perceive it. Yeah. So while I was in it, a lot of it was suffering, but now I perceive it as like, wow, I had to suffer. So now when I'm going through tough times now, I try and think, what's it trying to teach me? Yes. Why should I get bogged down in all the pain and self-pity and go into the victim mode, which is just like, oh, why me? It's always me, and I've got this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and I can still slip into it. That's my shadow. And once I observe it, once that awareness comes in, I'm like, I'm in victim mode, man. I can step away and go, right, let's journal. What's the lessons in that? What am I being taught within this? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Oh, it's a reoccurring theme, right? I definitely need to work on this.
Love that.
Yeah, man.
Fuck, I love that, Dan. It's good, and it's Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah,
So
man.
true. Everything you just said. Then, how do you find now, like the circles you used to hang out with, to where you are now? Like everything. Yeah. Sorry, I had a bit of a moment then, but I mean, going through the hardships. I should talk about that more. Going through that hardship, man.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lesson. In that moment, sometimes you might not understand it, and then 3-4 days later, you might go,
Yeah,
like that moment. You know?
it's just for me, it's just closing that gap. So it's so again, like I was saying earlier, it might take you years to notice something, but it's just closing that gap to the point where you can observe it in the moment. So yeah, like I don't know what the example. I reflect on all my life now, and it's taken me years to understand things. Like money was a massive one, man. I was definitely just trying to get rich. I was getting in little get rich quick schemes, man. Like
Ponzi's and that.
Yeah, and I remember people saying, "Why are you doing this?" I was like, "Oh, it's just an investment. It's just an investment. Rugby don't last forever," and that was my excuse. That was my mind saying, if I tell this excuse, I get people off my back, and I don't have to be honest with myself. But my attachment to money's way different now, man. Like,
Cool.
yeah, like I walked away from my I walked away from rugby, man, and that was 6 figures. Like, not in an egotistical way, but like I haven't got an income at the moment. I'm just sat here with no income, and I'm happiest I've ever been.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I'm like, well, does this make sense? What we've been taught by society, does it all make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to get out there and tell people, man. I want to be like, just question it, because you do need money. Of course you need
100%.
money. And you need a good amount. And if you have a good amount, you can look after your body, which then gives you a better chance of becoming the best version of yourself. So I get money in that sense. Like, you can eat organic food, or you can get a nice gym or a PT or whatever, keep yourself in shape, which then is an investment in yourself.
That's the one.
That's what I believe in.
Yeah. Even myself, like studying, you know, mindset, you know, well-being, becoming a coach, mindset coach.
Yeah.
These are all investments, like courses, education, study. And I caught myself when I paid for my first ever course, like, I don't know when it was. And it was that little fight with, that's a lot of money I'm putting down there on myself.
Yeah.
And that's that connection with money. But
man.
if you said to me back then, hey, go get yourself some beers, you know, I'm going out a night out and spend, you know, whatever price.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even bat an eyelid to
You
it.
buy a round in Mayfair like that, don't you? 120 quid. Yeah, whatever, mate. Next morning, can you send me out money, boys? Isn't it though?
So it's just that the relationship with money.
Yeah, it is. And I don't want to get it twisted, because people will be like, what, you don't want money? Like, if I land up on a good amount of money again, I will invest it back into myself and into meaningful things, but I won't be booking a 6-month holiday to suppress how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, my intention behind spending that money is different. Do you know what I mean? Or it'll be to make someone else feel good. Whereas back in the day, it might be buy something for someone else and I might get something back. Or, do you know what I mean? There's the intention behind it, the energy behind it. It's different. So don't get me wrong. Like, I will try to, like, the more money you have, of course, you'll be more comfortable. The more you can help people, the more you can, you doing your podcast, like you were saying before, like, it's amazing. It's a hobby for you, but it costs you a lot of money to set up.
Of course.
And hopefully it'll keep growing for you, man. But for the time being, it's beautiful, isn't it? You're following your passion. And but yeah, well, I wanted to talk about that with the, I've done a few things like retreats and that, and that's something I'll always spend money on now. That's something, once I've got an income coming in, at the moment, it's like, it'd be eating into my savings. I'm a bit thingy, but yeah, I did like, my first retreat, I did like a 3-day silent meditation retreat.
How was that?
They're mad. They are mad.
So no talking, obviously 3 days. No talking.
So yeah, we couldn't actually do it in full solitude. So it was in Portugal, but we would, we just couldn't look at, we couldn't make eye contact. It was like 12 people on this. Couldn't make eye contact, couldn't talk, couldn't anything. So we're just walking around with head down all day. So what you find is communicating with people can be a way of suppressing your emotions. Or while we're talking, we're not actually worried. Our thoughts aren't actually really playing. We're kind of in the moment and chatting. 100%. But it's when you're by yourself and you're not talking and you're not doing anything, no phones, no nothing, you're with your mind and you start to just see patterns emerge of just like thought patterns, and just like, wow, I really torture myself over this one thing. Let's journal about it. And is it real? Have I made this up in my head? Is it something I'm worried about irrationally? Is it taking my energy? If I work through it, will I have more energy? Can I be a better version of myself?
Yeah.
And Yeah, man. We'd wake up, we'd meditate for 2 hours, we'd have breakfast in silence, not looking at each other. Then meditate for 2 hours, lunch, meditate for 2 hours, dinner, meditate for 2 hours, and then we'd have an hour lecture before bed off like the guru, man.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And that for 3 days.
How long ago was this? When did this happen?
It was about a year now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like last off season, I think.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
And were you at that stage into like, you know, spirituality and doing those things, or was that like a start where you were like,
it was a bit
gonna give this a crack?
Yeah, some things were a bit far fetched for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just my ego.
Yeah,
It's just being in a rugby environment, man. We don't even really sing or dance because someone will shoot you down. Do you know what I mean? Or you don't want to start a business because everyone will go, oh, that won't succeed. Sometimes there's quite a bit of that in rugby. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in rugby, man. It's not. But yeah, we're at the end of it, yeah, we did this like ceremony thing, man. And have you ever seen people do like contemporary dancing?
Nah.
Like so there's just like this music, yeah, and people you're meant to just drop into your heart, away from your mind. Your mind will be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I look like an idiot. Everyone's laughing at me. I'm gonna be embarrassed. Blah blah blah. So you just drop into like full presence, drop into full, and you just go with the flow of what's ever going. And can you imagine me doing this, man?
Looking around.
I'm never going to kid you. Yeah, 90% of the time I spent in my head like people are watching me. I look like an idiot, and I'd like pretend to have a drink, and I'd be there having a drink for like 5 minutes because I didn't want to get back involved. But there's certain things, and I'm getting better with that sort of stuff, man, because ultimately it's just about liberating yourself from your mind, isn't it? From the ego, because. Why shouldn't I be able to do that sort of thing? Why so people laugh at me for saying I'm doing gardening and stuff, bro.
Nah, that's cool.
I love gardening.
I like cutting the grass. I like, you know, when you mow the grass,
lines.
and you have the lines.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
It's therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah. So
I mowed my neighbour's lawn yesterday. She hasn't moved in yet, so I'll treat her. And mowed her lawn, and I was like making sure the lines are perfect. And then I'm like, because she's not actually moved in yet, so she might come back in a week and it might have grown again. So I'm like, come back, I want you to see it. But I'm like, nah, I just did it because I didn't want to have in the long grass and stuff. But the lines are cool, man.
Yeah,
you know, that's where the OCD kicks in, man. I'll show you some photos afterwards, man. I'm mad. I have to keep tabs on it, man.
Yeah,
I get too carried away with that.
Yeah, I remember this one time though, and it kind of connects to that. Like, I did when I did DMT once. I remember the woman
we got straight in on DMT.
Yeah. Well, just kind of because you know
man.
You're so the OCD came in.
Man. Yeah.
For me, it was like the woman, like the goddess or Egyptian woman. I did it. She was like, "Be easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Too hard on yourself."
Wow.
And I was like a bit of a moment. So I was like, "Yeah, you're right," because we don't know it, right? But subconsciously from sports, we're forever trying to prove the coach, other people that we're enough. Yeah. So then when we come to our own little battle with ourselves, we're always trying to prove ourselves. So you're just pushing and sometimes you get burnt out. Sometimes you get exhausted. Man. Sometimes you sabotage yourself. And then you go, hey, look how, like we forget to turn around and go, look how far we've just come.
Yeah, I know.
Be fucking nice to ourselves,
you
know?
Man, I know. I'm still learning that now, man. When I retired, like when I retired, people were like, "Oh, what an amazing career," but I was still kind of brushing it off. There was still a part of me that was just like, they're just saying that because they have to say that. Do you know what I mean though? Like,
but you're thinking that.
Yeah, that's like the old me that goes into that.
Yeah,
I'm not good enough, so why should they tell me I'm good enough? Do you know what I mean? So, but then I realised, I had a massive realisation. I'm like, if I don't get on top of that, then whatever I invest the next 10 years in, say I become the world's best gardener, man. I'm at Kew Gardens. I'm head gardener. Yeah. If I can't enjoy that journey and I'm just success driven and I'm like, I want to be the best gardener in the world. I don't, but I want to be the best gardener in the world, and that's where I think my happiness is going. I'm going to not waste another 10 years, but it's not going to be as enjoyable, is it? Like whatever I go into next, I need to enjoy the process.
100%. Constantly
self-reflect. Tell myself how well I'm doing, how far I've come. Like, otherwise, it just feels like we're working towards nothing constantly. Yeah. Then what's the next thing?
You need it. Yeah. But then don't be afraid at the same time to try things. Yeah. Because if you go, I'm gonna commit to 10 years of this, and then get 6 months and go, you know what? Fuck that. But I've
Yeah.
committed to 10 years now. I'm
Yeah.
too invested.
I know.
You want to be in a stage where, like, you know what? I'll try a little bit of this. I might try some tap dancing. I'm making
Yeah.
things up now. I might try some veggie gardens. I might
Yeah,
start going
man.
to the markets. I don't know
Yeah.
what.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
you go, you know what? These things, and then I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But
It's so important, man. So important.
Yeah.
How much of our lives do we do the same thing every day, though? Like,
Oh.
and let's say we're caught in the same thought patterns, and let's say it was back before I was meditating, I could catch these thoughts. But driving into training every morning, beating myself up. Oh, don't mess up in training. So, oh, if this person says this to me today, I'm going to go back at him today. He's winding me. He's been winding me up for a while. I get caught up in that. I'm like, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong. When I'm on these podcasts, I paint a bad picture of myself. I'm not a bad person.
Nah, you're good. You're just talking about the internal.
Yeah, there's bits where I might have lost the plot, got angry, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm trying to be so honest and just highlight the bad things. But yeah, you drive in and have the same thoughts over and over, and you do the same thing every day, come home and do the same thing, and Netflix, and then have dinner and then bed. It's like, why am I not exploring? Why am I not trying new things? Yeah, it might be ridiculous at times, but get out there and try a new thing. And you don't know you don't like it until we just, sometimes we just get caught in that rat race, don't we? And then say we're working a job that we don't like for a lot of money. So imagine we're doing that on top of pressing play for all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Life becomes very monotonous.
Yep.
And then through no fault of our own and no fault of, for example, your dad's, you get to that age and you're like, wow, what was all that for?
Yeah.
Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And it's about getting to that level before it happens type thing, isn't it? Like, you would love, you'd love to be Adam Sandler going back, just getting your dad, giving him a big hug and just going, what do you want to do? Where's your passion? Like,
I wish I had this mindset now, what I'm doing now, back then, maybe 5-10 years ago, where I could have changed it. But if I was away, but then at the same time, it's like I can only do so much. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it either.
Man.
But the message I've got from this is, though, like, do shit that makes you happy. I won't stop doing things that make me happy.
Yeah.
When the moment is, I'll go, well, we need to fucking restructure this whole plan, because this does not make me happy anymore. And I think that's the life I want to live now. And funny enough, whenever I do things now that make me happy, they give me a living too. So that's the key,
mate. That's the gem, innit? That's what you need to find. And for like, people's argument against this will be like, yeah, but no one will be doing the mundane jobs. Bro, people love, I love random stuff. There's jobs I could do that, and it's how you perceive it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone uses the whole binman thing, yeah. I've seen some of the happiest binmen out there, man. So the ones that are like, morning, mate, blah, blah, blah. And
love that.
His perception on it is just, I'm clearing rubbish away, but I'm not abiding by the societal norm of this is a bad job.
Nah.
I get to communicate with people and blah, blah, blah. Like, there'll still be people saying it's a bad job, but what I'm saying is, like,
Sure, outlook.
Yeah, man. It's not like we're going to run out of jobs that people are like doing.
Well, I had that, Sarge, when coming back from Australia, everyone's like, you must be mad leaving Australia. And you might have heard this message too. You must be mad. You've come to this cold country, yada, yada. But I was like, you know what? I drive in the morning, my coffee, come into the office here, and I'm like, I'm happy. It's my outlook. It depends on
outlook.
If my outlook is shit, I could be in the sunniest country in the world, house on the beach, or I could be in a little shanty town in India. Yeah, man. But if I'm internally happy, then this means this is fine.
Your internal world reflects into your external world, but when we look for stuff in the external world to heal our internal, it never works, man. And there's a geezer in Hemel. I don't know what to do. Not for any reason. I just want people to experience this man. He's homeless and he sits outside a Tesco Express. And I stayed at my mate's last time I was home, and I was telling them, both Molly and Lou, I was saying, you need to go down to Tesco Express and have a chat with this man. He is fascinating. I stood with him for like an hour, man, and he didn't want any money from me. He didn't want food from me, and he was just happy to chat. Yeah, everyone that walked past, he was like, good morning, I hope you have an amazing, from the heart though.
Wow.
He's not saying it for money, and people, I've got no change, like, literally, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And he knew everyone there, and you could tell everyone loved him and respected him and knew he was true and authentic. And I got chatting with him, man. I was like, you need to be on a podcast of some sort.
Get him on.
Because you have nothing, but you have everything.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has nothing. He sleeps in a tent in a graveyard, man. And he's happier than me. and I've got a lot more than him according to the world, whatever that is. Yeah.
Fuck.
It's
I have to find this guy in Hemel.
Oh man,
What's his name?
oh mate, you're testing me now.
Someone from Hemel will just come. Yeah, I know him.
They will. Well, if anyone from Hemel listens to this, but they'll know anyone that goes to Warner's End Tesco Express. You can't miss him, man. You can't.
Send us a photo of him if you can.
Yeah, I might even. I might even get a little video or something, a little selfie video of him or something. But yeah, and he was saying he used to like rob people and into drugs and blah blah blah, and now his brother's homeless as well, and his brother's dying and takes a lot of drugs. So he was like, right, so I've promised myself I'm not taking drugs, and he was like, I surprised myself, when your will's that strong, you can stop anything. He was like, I never thought I'd stop taking drugs on the street, and I could just see him starting to grow, man, and all it'll take is someone just to take him on, and he's got such a beautiful story, and his outlook on life now. There's still a little bit of him. There's still a little bit of him when there was like a guy come up and he'd been getting messed about. Someone was trying to steal his dog or something random like that. I'm getting into a weird story, but you could see the anger come back at him. He's like, who is it? We'll batter him. I'm like, oh no, you've just thrown away everything I thought you was, but it's not. He's
Mate, if someone touched Dozer,
oh man,
someone touched my dog,
all hell would break loose, man.
Yeah, that chimp would be coming out hard.
I trust those as a sorted, to be fair.
Yeah,
but he's getting old, man.
Brother, I would love to talk to you forever. It's just it's an easy conversation, and it's just so much information, and your journey's been truly amazing. And I'm excited for you. This is like you're a baby again now, you know?
Yeah, man, I'm just coming out the womb.
One thing I like to ask everyone, man, before we wrap up is just, what are you grateful for?
Ooh. Again, just all the and I know it sounds mad, and I know it just sounds like I'm saying it, but genuinely all the tough times and the rock bottom.
Yeah.
Because without that, like I'm saying, like even my little brother passing, I would never ever have looked in, and I would have. I'm not grateful for that. I'm not grateful for that.
But you've seen the
I'm grateful for the perception I have around it now, where I can channel it into something beautiful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and genuinely, I'm not just saying that, but I am so grateful for everything I've been through. Because if it weren't this hard, I wouldn't be where I am now. You have to reach the roots of hell to reach the heights of heaven.
Love that, man.
Yeah, man.
Love that. Brother, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your journey. I'm grateful to connect with you. And I'm excited for what's coming next for you, man.
Cheers, man.
Will's the oyster. Thank you, brother.
Cheers, man.